Welcome to BA 247 Advanced Computers. We're starting off with our Word application, reviewing some things that we have already learned, hopefully, especially if you took BA 136 after BA 145, and then off we can go running for some new features. Everyone should have the textbook that looks something like this, slightly different color on the front probably, but this is the book we're in. So we move up, noticing that our page numbers have the application in front of them, just like they did in BA 145. The Word pages have the WD in front of them. And we're going to start off with creating a document with a title page, lists, tables, and watermark. This should sound familiar, as I said, for those of you that are in BA 130, had already took BA 136. Objectives. You're going to have mastered the material when you can border a paragraph, change your indentation, smart graphics, character effects, section breaks, inserting Word documents into already open documents, formatting headers and footers, paragraphs, tables, format painter, picture bullets to add picture bullets to a list, multi-level list, word tables, sum columns, watermark, change fonts, theme fonts. Some of that's going to sound very familiar. So we'll start off with something we already know to get ourselves back into the formal learning mode, since we've had a wonderfully refreshing break, I hope. So we're going to start off by creating a proposal. The proposal is generally three types. You can have sales proposals, research proposals, or planning. Sales proposals sell an idea, a product or service. Research usually requests funding. And a planning proposal offers solutions to a problem or improvement to a situation. One thing that I like about this book very much is it shows you on page 203 example of what your finished product should look like. Reminder, you may try to work from this, but all detailed instructions for creating it are on the pages that follow, so don't feel that you have to. You should find it beneficial to actually follow some of the instructions. So we're going to have a title page with a Smartart bordering watermarks. And then we're going to actually insert text that's already provided to us. Yahoo! We don't have to type on our first assignment. And format some of the things that are here for our two-page. And notice we will not have a page number on the title page, but we will start a page number on our next page. And it'll start with 1, so we need to get the page blank. Title page blank. Another thing I like about this textbook is we get a roadmap. Not everybody creates documents in the same ways, and it's very helpful if you can understand where the publisher, the author, is coming from. So here's what I like the roadmap to show us. First, we're going to focus on creating that title page. Get it all ready to go. Then we're going to insert the existing text. We'll work on headers and footers, then we'll go to the list, then we'll go to the tables, then we'll create the watermark, and that'll be the last. And of course, along the way, we'll look at printing and some various things to go through that. But this is the roadmap, or the thought process that the author thought you would find beneficial for your learning process. First thing we need to do, of course, is start in Microsoft Word. Notice that the instructions here in the numbered red bullet says scroll the start screen. That's for people who are operating Windows 8. If you're working here on campus, as I will be doing, you will be using Windows 7. So we will do what we normally do and use your start button to find it. You could type Word in, or if your computer already has an icon on your taskbar, simply click that to start. If you don't have an icon, and you may not be aware of this, a little shortcut here, one of the easiest ways to get a program going is to, here in the search bar, type some of it and let it search it and populate what it is. You click the application you want. Notice it's broken up into programs, the control panel, and various files, and you simply click and it starts. I don't know what you're working on at home, but here at school we have these wonderfully large monitors. Please make certain that you maximize your file so that you can see things. Again, over here in your lower right hand corner, something I've taught in other classes, please use your zoom so that you can save your eyes. Don't get into the bifocal situation like I'm already in. And save those eyes for what's going on. Another thing you're going to notice about your textbook is it's going to encourage you to work with your show hides turned on. On the home tab here in the paragraph grouping is the backwards P, I like to call it. Looks like a little backwards P. And they like you to have it on so you can see what's happening. It's up to you whether or not you work with them on. However, learn when to turn them on and off. There are times that they are very beneficial to see what's going on, and other times that you won't need them. So you can certainly work without them and then turn them on when you do, turn them back off. Another item, if your computer is not showing you the ruler here at the top and on your down your left hand side, always very helpful to see. We can simply go on our View tab, and in the show grouping towards the left hand side, the top button is for ruler, and you can click that and it will be turned on. And if you recall, we always have a theme going for our Word documents. Basically it's the Office theme unless we change it, and then for this project we would like to. So let's go up to the Design tab. Okay, there's some document formatting choices we can make. This is not literally changing your themes. You want to change your themes, come over to the button on the left, click the drop down arrow, find the, if you can, we're looking for WISP. Is it in here? Is it in here? I don't know about you, but it's not in, oh, there it is. They're not in alphabetical order, unfortunately. So scroll up and down your list until you find WISP, and then click that once to change it. You may not notice a lot changing on your screen at the moment, but you will see it as we go forward. Other things to notice that you're going to want, when we get done with our book, we're going to be working on a project of our own making, and actually as we go throughout the book you're going to be starting working on it. And there are some design concepts that you're going to find helpful. For example, here on page 205, consider this, creating a title page, what makes eye-catching title page, things like concise descriptive text, appropriate fonts, sizes, colors, graphics to reinforce it, and colors that complement your text. So we're going to be having a colorful title surrounded by a border, some shading, a little bit of artistic graphic with text, those kind of things to set up our title page to meet these concepts. Alright, let's get going and working on page 206 to get our text looking like they want us to do it. First thing we're going to do is center. Hopefully everybody remembers how to center text. I don't know about you, but I'm a keyboard shortcut girl, and hopefully I can show you a few of those along the way if you don't know. If you do know, bam, I hope you have it done. If you don't, Control E moves your cursor to the center of your line. We're also going to change the font. Notice that it's now Century Gothic. How did it get to that? Right. When we changed the theme, it changed from Calibri to Century Gothic. For this particular portion of our document, though, our title page, we don't want that. We would like to use a different one. Let's go to Britannic, if you can find it. Bold. Britannic Bold. If you don't have it, choose something similar, and when you're uploading your file to Blackboard, write me a note about what you did differently than what's here in the book. That's pretty much the rule of thumb as we go throughout this class. If for some reason your computer doesn't have on it, you're using the correct software, you have Office 2013, you're on a PC, but for some reason your stuff doesn't turn out to be what the book has, you'll write me a note in Blackboard. And sometimes it depends on how it's installed. And sometimes I have found that these are brand new books, but sometimes things changed even after the publisher put them, the author put them together. Alright, I click on Britannic Bold. That changes my font. I have a question. Why didn't I select anything? Alright, I'm going to guess that you've had the correct answer and tell you you're right. I didn't select anything because I haven't typed anything. You can change the font before you type, and then if you do it after you type, you have to select what you want to change. So we want, we haven't not finished. We got to change the size to 72. How high is 72? How tall are these? If you remember anything from previous classes, you should be telling me something like 1 inch. A single point size is 1/72 of an inch. So our cursor is now 1 inch tall. And our text that goes here is Paw Ridge. That's on the first line. State Park is on the second. Now, before I typed in State Park, I was supposed to change the color, but I didn't pay attention, so I can actually change it afterwards, as you are well aware. So this time I just select it, and I change the font color. This is the arrow under the font grouping for the letter A with a line underneath it, a colored line. And we are looking for brown accent 3. Dark red, where is brown? Next to orange. Accent 3. But no, we don't need it dark or anything. We simply want it brown. So it should be on your top in your theme colors. Mine's the fourth one to the right. Yours may not be again. You're going to follow what, find it on your screen where you have it. So now we want to add a little pizzazz and actually border our paragraph. And if you notice, if you have your show hides turned on, we actually made 2 paragraphs, right? Anytime you press the enter key, it puts in this mark, and then it creates a new paragraph to start. So everything in between is 1 paragraph. If we wanted this to be 1 paragraph for entirely, we would not have pressed enter. What keystroke would we have used? Right. We would have done a shift enter, keeping it part of the same paragraph. And it would have put this little smaller return. We did not. We're actually going to border these paragraphs individually. So we're not going to have one big box around both lines. We're going to have a box around the top line and then a box around the bottom line. When you are affecting a paragraph, hopefully you are recalling that you again do not need to select anything because you're going to affect the entire paragraph. Anything in this grouping here on the Home tab that says Paragraph affects the entire paragraph. You don't have to select anything. If we wanted to select both of these at the same time, then, if we wanted to affect both of these at the same time, then we would select them. But because we're going to do them individually, we don't have to. Borders and shading. That would be the icon up at the top here in paragraph grouping that looks like a paint bucket. And we want to go down, oops, not that, sorry. We want, that was shading. We actually want the borders grouping. Click the drop down arrow, and we want the command, borders, and shading, which will actually bring up the dialog box that we can do multiple things all at the same time. So first thing we want to do is notice that our setting is set to none. And then we want to change that to a box. We want a box around the whole paragraph. And the color arrow for this one, we are going to change to our brown. Accent 3. The width, we want it to be a little thicker so we can see it easily. We're going to change that to 6 point. And here on the right hand side in our preview, of course, we see the whole thing that's affecting it. Notice one thing. You could apply to paragraph. Later on you'll see we could apply to different sections, multiple paragraphs, whole document, varies what you want. Also notice we have an options button. You can actually affect how much white space is between the text and the border itself. So if you feel like things are too close together, you can adjust this. Or again, if you feel like they're too far apart, you can adjust how far they come together. So I'm gonna adjust the top one just to see and show you. See what's happening here? This white space from the top is growing. Now I'll put it back to what it was, and you'll see how it's shrinking to to come closer together. That's one way to generate space in your box. I'm going to cancel that because I don't need to do anything. Yes, just double checking my dialog box has still correct. Brown 6-point box. Like it. We didn't change the style, so good. I'm going to click OK. Excellent. Now we actually want to change this color of this box, and so we want the background here under the shading tab to be more of the dark red accent 1. Looks great. I don't know about you, but my words seem a little deep, a little dark on it. Might be a little better if we turned the font to a lighter color. Now remember, again, as you well know, because we've already typed something and we want to change it, we now have to select it. So Paul Ridge gets selected and we change it to white. Looks sharp, people. I like it. Now if only I could do that in my living room as easily as we could do it on paper. Ugh. Alright, let's try it again. State Park. Border it. See if you can do it without me. We want, I'm going to go back to borders and shading because we want, again, box. Notice that the color is changing to olive green, accent 4. Notice that your width stays to what you last used. Doesn't that look sharp? Turn off my show hide so I can get a better look at it. I can see it. I like it. But the one thing we're noticing is we've got this white space here between our paragraphs, and we don't want that. It kind of breaks it up and makes our eyes see different things. So let's just close that gap. Sure enough, we want to think of a way that you could do this. Wow. Well, like I said, we're not going to delete our paragraph mark and change it into one paragraph because then we lose one of the boxes. I know. Did you think of this? Default alignment is the drop-down arrow, has space after the paragraph, and we can just simply remove it. Now some people I notice like to come in under the paragraph dialog box and then click the box that says don't add space. Yes, that's another way to do it, but it's more clicks. Think that through. Isn't it easier just to go drop down arrow, remove space? I like it. Notice, do you have your cursor on the right spot? You need to be in the Paul Ridge line because you are reducing space, white space after that one. We don't want to reduce space after State Park because we don't have anything in there yet. It doesn't need it. It would have been space above, which is not part of the default setting, so we didn't have to worry about it. Okay. So now, one little design note we're noticing is our box goes from margin to margin. Did you see this? Both boxes, nice big boxes, go directly out to the full margins. What if we don't want to do that? What if we only want it to go closer to the text of each line? One way we could do that is with our indents. Let's click on Paul Ridge, our top line, and let's give it a left indent of 0.5. Do it however you would like to do it. You can use the indent on your ribbon. You can use your shortcuts. Anything you would like to do there. Now at the same time, you can use the indent button too. Now the right you want to bring in, and we don't normally use that a lot, but we should. and you bring that in the same 1/2 inch. Remember, on your rulers, the numbers between the numbers equals an inch. The long hash line is the 1/2 inch, and for the dots in between are 2/10. This is 0.2, 0.4, so that's a quarter. 0.6, I'm sorry, 2/10, 4/10, 6/10. Oh my goodness, I can't do this right. All right, 1, 2, 1, 2, that's a quarter. 3, 4, that's a half. 5, 6, 7, 8. It's an 8 count for a inch, not a 10 count. That's my problem. I keep trying to make it a 10 count, and it's not. I don't know how about you think about it. I just remember the long hashes are 1/2 inch, and the second hash in is a quarter on either side. So for whatever we need to do, that's how I think of them. So now our paw ridge is a little bit shorter. Kind of sets off paw ridge just a little bit more, don't you think? Okay. We're done with our title. I did a Control-N to go to the bottom, and then press the Enter key. Oh, my box went bigger. How can I get rid of this? I want to go undo the rest of my document. You're absolutely right if you said clear formatting. I clear formatting. The particular line that I'm on is cleared and back to the normal for this design we chose. Remember, we're in the Wisp theme. It doesn't go back to Calibri. It goes to the default of this theme. And our state park went back to the way it was. If you haven't already, let's make sure that we save this. Now, here's the thing. Your book is going to have you save it, and then in a few minutes save it to a new name. Let's skip that part. All right? One note about saving files. You may save the file using any name you want as long as you can find it. You are the ones going to need to find it to upload it to Blackboard. When I download it to Blackboard, it's going to put the assignment name and the your student name. It's going to attach all that as part of the file name. So please use short file names. Don't add information on it like your name and lots of identifying stuff. Let's save that for Blackboard to do. I am going to do a Control-S because that'll automatically bring up my dialog box, or an F12 brings up the save as, however you want to do it. Like I said, I'm going to save mine on my desktop in the BA247 folder I already created. You may decide to create a new folder for Word. You may decide to call it, chapter documents, whatever you want to do. I'm going to name this W4. I'm going to name it W for Word, 4 for Chapter 4. Because I know this is the chapter document I'm working on, and it's a nice short file name that I can remember. You might want to say W4 Paw Ridge, whatever works for you, but just try to please keep it short. When you're done, press Enter. One thing I notice is in your textbook it keeps talking about a Sys 101 folder. Not certain why it does that. That's definitely not what we're working with. Also, it is, oops, it's not going to let me do that. Hold on just a second here. So when you're saving the document, now here step 4 tells you a file name to use. That's what I'm referring to. You can change that. You can use that. It's the shorter the better, though, honestly, because Blackboard doesn't like to download long file names. So this is what I'm referring to here on page 211. It talks about the Sys 101 folder. We're not Sys 101. I'm not certain why they have that in this textbook. It doesn't need to use that. Navigate to wherever you're going to do it. It also talks about using your SkyDrive. That is entirely up to you. SkyDrive is free space on the internet that you can use to save your files. That is the Microsoft file location, just as Google Drive is Google's location. Whatever you choose to use. Again, it's up to you to be able to find the file if I have any issues with downloading it. So whatever you want to do, wherever you want to put it. So now that we've saved it, we're going to take a look at Smartart Graphics, and you may have tried these in other classes. I'm pretty certain you have, but let's check them out anyways. Talks about different types that we can have. We can do a list, a process, a cycle, hierarchy, relationship, matrix, picture, or pyramid. You know, and they contain shapes, things that we would like to show visually rather than actually putting into words and paragraphs. So let's go ahead and insert one in here and talk about some things that you can do at this little state park that we're working on. Now we're on the paragraph below our Paul Ridge State Park titles. That's excellent. And for getting our Smartart Graphic, I can say that. Can you? 3 times fast? Can you? Can you? Sorry, too early in the semester to be joking on video. Let's focus, Beth Ann. On the Insert tab, in the Illustration section is the button for Smartarts. Simply click that, and our Smartart Graphic dialog box comes up on the list on the left-hand side, the left pane. Select the List option, and all it does is show you those. It'll also show you the others if you scroll up and down, but this is one of the quickest ways to see what you want. Look for Grouped List, and if you're looking at your textbook on page 213, it shows you it's down here in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th row, second one in. Again, may not be in the same place on your computer. If you click it in the right hand pane, the third pane over here, it shows you a preview of what it's going to look like, the types of things that it's recommended use for. We're happy. Let's click OK. Depending on what you've used before for Smartart, it may or may not look like mine. For example, on the left hand side I have a list that I can type my text into. You may not have that. That's fine. You don't have to. So you may be typing directly into each one of these cells. That is fine. Also, you can use the placeholders, whatever you want to do. Here under your design grouping, design tab, now we have the Smartart Tools tabs available to us. Text pane is over here in the Create Graphic, and that's one way to turn it on and turn it off if you wanted to see it. Whatever you would like to do. We don't need all the shapes that are here, so the next thing we would want to do is select it. We want to delete the 3 vertical shapes in the select the shape, so did you notice what I did? I clicked anywhere in the graphic in the Smartart, and then I clicked on a border line, and as I press, oops, not an outside border line is what you want, but near an inside border line, so I get one section. And now as I press delete, these boxes individually delete. That's why you have to do 3 of them. Your 2 resized. Notice it keeps your Smartart graphic the same height and width, and so it made these 2 fatter to accommodate what we are wanting to do. So again, just to repeat that, if you had any issues with it, you want to get your mouse over towards maybe an outer edge to select one of the shapes inside the Smartart graphic. Now if you were using the text pane, notice if you're using the text pane, you can just move your mouse and delete or backspace, whatever you need to do. Oops. Or make a mess, whatever works easiest for you. Ooh, I'm really making a mess now. Alright, Beth Ann. Sorry. You can always stop it, delete it, and reinsert it, and just be done with it. There. I feel much better. Wow, what am I doing to this? See, this is one of the things about using things that other people create. You can't always control what goes on. Alright. So now I select the middle one. Bam. Delete, delete, delete. That's easier than selecting like the left one. It's easier to get the middle one to go away than anything else. Sometimes you have to fuss with what other people have done and created. And again, you can use the text pane or type directly into the shapes, whichever you want. The first one is lodging. And, ooh, I can spell lodging. Yes, make sure you spell correctly. Cabins, camp, now we need some more boxes here, so we need to add in shapes. So under our Design tab for Smart Tools up here on the top left hand side says Add Shape. Now if you're using the text pane like I am, my cursor is down here. All I have to do is indent. I press the tab key and it puts additional boxes in here. But as you noticed on my screen, it went to one single box. So now when I press enter and I have an a blank bullet, I'm doing Shift tab and it takes it back out to a main level, changing the level of the outline. So certainly several ways that you can do the same task, as you're well aware, and this is a couple of them. Notice that our coloring appears decently. This is the red and the white that we have up here under Paul Ridge. I don't know what pink is. Ugh, that doesn't quite go with anything I've got on my screen. Does it for you? I hope not. If you are, you might want to have your eyes checked. Could be slightly colorblind. So let's change some colors. In order to do so, make sure you have it selected, and this would be the whole exterior selected. I'm going to close my text pane because I don't need that anymore. And on our design, we have a button for changing colors. You know what I love? I love all these styles. Look at how gorgeous these little boxes can be. Ooh! I tell you, that's one of the things I love about these newer versions of the Microsoft Office suite, is the enhancement in graphics. Focus, Beth Ann. Right now we're doing color changes. We're looking for colored fill accent 3. So down here under accent 3, not colorful, we're looking for accent 3 colored fill. So again, on your machine, find it wherever it is. The one that's already highlighted in blue is showing you what the current coloring is, and we're going to change it to this accent 3 colored fill. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to apply a style. Yay! Love it! Let's, over here in our Smart Styles, on the drop down on the right hand side in our scroll bars, let's click the drop down for more. See what else is in here. And we want to choose the moderate effect. See if you can find that. Oh, too much fun. Too much fun. They didn't even go 3D. How boring. How could they do that to us? All right. I'll survive. Seriously, I won't. Let's do something more fun. I'm changing it. Do whatever you want. Do something to show that you changed it. I don't want a cartoon. Oh, but I do want. Ooh, look at that. I could have that. Whew. Alright, I'm going inset. Maybe polished. Either way, pick something. Show me that you can change it with a style. Now we're going to practice modifying some character spacing and format characters through the actual dialog box. We've been using our buttons here on the ribbon, which is great, but now we want to also look at the dialog box. And again, some of you may already be familiar with this. Hopefully most of you are. We're going to have, this is the text to go at the bottom of the title page. Okay, so we come to the end of our document. This is a good time to have show hides turned on to make certain that you don't have any extra paragraph returns. You only have one return right here at the, I'm doing a control end, I'm down at the bottom of my document, and I'm right here to the right of my Smartart graphic. Press the enter key once, and I'm going to center that line and type in the text is plan your next outing with us! Exclamation point. We're going to select this paragraph. Hey, anybody know how to select this in a single click? I do. Bringing my mouse over here to the left margin with a fat block arrow, and a single click selects the entire line. And this time, as we said, we want to look at the dialog box, so instead of clicking things here on the font grouping, let's click this little arrow to launch the dialog box. Check out what they want us to do. Let's again change our font. Your cursor should have come into the defaulted into the font field, and I started typing BRI, and it automatically scrolled down and found the one I wanted. So I select Britannic Bold. I want it to be in italics, and the size I want is 36. So if 72 is a full inch tall, 36 would be correct, ½ inch. And then now my font color I can change right now to the dark red accent 1. And another thing, this is something you can't do on the ribbon, is small caps. Sometimes these are a great way to use a little bit of emphasis in your effects without having to work too hard at it. Now here's another thing we're going to check out. That's all good. We could have done this with several keystrokes and working on things through the ribbon, except for small caps. We needed to come into here. Notice we have an advanced tab. And this is something we also don't work with on the ribbon itself, is character spacing and other open type features. Under the spacing arrow, right now it is normal. This is called kerning. Let's expand it. This is going to increase spacing between letters. Now notice what's here in your preview, how the letters are fit nicely right next to each other. Under expanded, see how they jumped slightly? Condensed, jumps them back, squishes them up a little, expanded. This is something to check into if you're troubleshooting a document and you can't figure out why things look so far apart. Check this area. Overall, there's a field right here for kerning, but overall it's typically the whole thing is called kerning. And notice that you can adjust that width. You can I'm clicking and really increasing this so you can really see them moving apart. We're going to actually put it up to 7 point. That's too much to scroll, so I'm just going to type in 7. And now you can really see there's a lot of space between each letter. So again, if you're in a document and you can tell from your cursor it's going from letter to letter, but there's a lot of white space between it, this is where you want to come check. And then we're going to click OK. And of course click somewhere else so we can see how that took effect on our text. So just like that, we've created a nice looking title page. Okay. Your book's going to talk about some zooming levels, and you can check some things out for there, like it's going to want you to see the whole page and affect the whole page at a time. You can do zoom out to do that. You can go to your view tabs and say I want to view a single page, and it'll automatically jump to a page width. So the bottom line is right now we want to be able to see the whole page, so that as we're affecting it. The one thing about title pages, especially if you're a flyer, that kind of thing, you want to give about the same amount of white space at the bottom of the page as you do at the top of the page. So because we have all this white space left here at the bottom, we can use that. We don't have to squish our information up towards each other. Let's affect it. The same way that we reduce this white space between these first two lines, between the Paw Ridge and the State Park, we can increase spacing. After State Park, on our Home tab, now instead of remove paragraph, we can actually, a couple ways. You can do a line spacing and you can change how much space is after here, or you can go to the page layout tab and see space after is 8 points, and you could change that. Your textbook is going to suggest that because what we want to change is above and below our Smartart graphic, let's just change it on that. So click our Smartart graphic. Notice that the page layout tab is still available to you, and before you can change that to 48, and then afterwards change that to 36. You don't have to type in the PT. You can simply type in the number and press enter. We could have done it individually after State Park and then before the tagline, plan your next outing with us. Either way. But this is a way to affect it in one paragraph all at the same time. Let's go ahead and make sure we save this. I'm doing a Control S to save in the same spot. Now your book is going to have you, if you're reading along, page 221, tells you to save it to a new file name. I don't have any need for that. We're only going to upload one file to Blackboard, so we're just going to leave this with the file name that it is. However, we are now going into bringing in the rest of the text. We're not going to have to type it. If you remember, when I went through the download, I showed you that we want to insert a file. So make certain wherever you saved your data files that you actually brought Paw Ridge out of the Word compressed folder. Whatever's in a compressed folder, you cannot access, you can't get to if you want to insert it, whether it's a graphic or text, anything. So if you haven't done it already, get in here, go through your subfolders into Chapter 4, find your Paw Ridge draft, and copy or move it out to your data files folder. It can't be in anything that has a zip on it. You may find it easy to extract all of them. However, I caution you about that because basically it's going to multiply the use of file space on your flash drive, or your computer, your hard drive, wherever you're saving it unnecessarily. We're only going to be using a few files out of each one of these folders, so personally I don't have a good use for extracting everything, but you could if you want to. Alright, this bottom of 221 is a reminder of what sections are about. If you're not aware of this, your document always has a section in it. Well, until you tell it otherwise, you're in section 1. One of the easiest ways to see this is on your status bar area down here in the lower left hand side. Right click and then put a check mark here next to section and click somewhere else so that that box goes away. Now you can see in your status bar that you are in section 1 always, just like we always start on page 1. We're in page 1 of 1. Okay, so what's going on with sections? You want to change sections if you would need to do something that affects a certain portion of the document, such as maybe you want to flip over to landscape, or maybe you want to move the next bit of information into multiple columns of text, like in a news paper type thing, or if you're going to change margins for just the section you're working with, just the item, the lines you're working with. Maybe you're going to change to another size paper, like an envelope, and place you put your page numbers, whether or not you have page numbers, a header or footer, all sorts of things. Things that affect the entire document are when you want to insert a new section and move to that. Just like paragraphs, sections control what's above them. So we are on page 1 in section 1, which is controlling everything above the bottom of the document. If we insert a section break, and I don't know about you, but I always like to press return and finish off my paragraph before I do it. So I'm going to turn my show hides on now so we can see what's going on. Your book is going to encourage you to be here at the end of your line, plan your next outing with us. We go up to get a section break, we go to page layout, breaks under the page setup grouping is what we want, and you have to decide, are you trying to end a column and move to a next column? You want to get to a different page, that's just a page break, or do you want to get to an actual new section? And we're going to go with a section break because we're going to have page numbers on the next couple pages that are not going to be on this title page. So we need to have a different section going for that. Continuous would mean continue on this page, what we're doing. I don't need a new blank page to do this. And sometimes you may find you're working with just odds or even pages. Honestly, I don't ever use those. Continuous and next page are the ones that I focus on. They found the most helpful. So your book's going to tell you to have your cursor here at the end of your text and then insert a break to go to the next page. See how it actually puts in this double line? That is a clue to you. Turn on your show hides, you can see it, and that is a clue to you that that is where this page ends and the next section begins. However, I just never have liked it. It is an improvement. It used to be that this paragraph mark down underneath here would still affect this last line of text. So if I went to left alignment, the whole line would have gone left. As you can see from my screen, it's not. So the newer version of Word takes care of that. I'm just not comfortable. So I'm going to have a return right here at the end of that line. That's a personal preference that I like to just make certain that line's finished, shall we say, and not going to be accidentally affected. So now my cursor, put my cursor down here on the next sheet of paper. Notice here my status bar, it tells me I'm in section 2. Does not tell you how many sections are in your document. I missed that. It used to do that in prior versions, but we'll live through it. Just an FYI, on page 223 has information for you on how to delete a section break if you need to. We're not going to do it, but it literally is a character that you can simply select and delete. What you want to be careful of is which section break to do it. The bottom of your document will never have a section break indication down here. Like right now, our bottom of the document always has a paragraph mark. Section breaks aren't like that. You won't ever have one. You have to understand that this little section break right here is controlling what goes above it. Just like this paragraph mark controls what's in front of it. This section mark controls, the section mark controls everything above it. Okay? So bottom of the document does not have a section break. Everything up until I hit a section break is what's controlled by the default settings of my document. Alright, again, we find ourselves in a position where our current formatting of our text is not going to what we want, so let's go back to our Home tab and again click that Clear Formatting. And this is where we're going to actually insert our file that has already been created for us. As you heard, it's on the Insert tab of the ribbon. Over here on the right hand side under Text, there should be Object. You can click the drop down arrow and select Text from File. Do not select Objects because that will ask you if you're going to be creating an object. I think you want to bring something in. like a graphic or a PDF or a chart in Excel. Nope, we're not doing that. We want text that we already have in a Microsoft Word document. Navigate to wherever you saved your files. And my computer, let's see, I think I may have already, oh, it should take you right to where you were saving things, I think. If it didn't, navigate to where you need to be and find wherever you put your Paul Ridge draft. You double click it and bam, it brings it all in. Something to remember, the paragraph mark that you already had at the bottom of your document stays and often can cause an extra mark that you didn't need. So check it out down here at the bottom. If you have an extra page, just press delete and get rid of that extra one, extra return. Page 225 is set up talking about printing specific pages in a document. I'm not currently worried about that at this time, so we will skip that page. Page 226 starts us off with talking about what should a sales proposal contain. Well, we should have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. And then we should use heading footers to identify every page. All right, we can do this. Evidently, there's a page break in there that we want to go and figure out why. Be very careful when using page breaks. For example, I find it here. You turn on your show hide. You can see it pretty easily. And I don't know why it's here. It's all that wasted white space. It may be there because they want lodging to start on a new page all the time. Well, there's a different way to make that happen. Page break is not your most efficient, because a page break can then, let's say if we deleted 4 lines out of this 3 paragraphs here and some of this went up on our previous page, we could end up with very short pages. Not what we want. So again, page breaks are simply characters. Delete those. And our lodging rate per night populates up onto this page. As we get formatting, it may move to the other page, and then we'll deal with that if we need to. As you've also learned in 136 and 133, styles are fantastic ways to format your documents. So we're going to use styles here. The first one, our side paragraph, our park, we want to make that heading 1. Here on the Home tab, in the Styles grouping, heading 1. Lodging descriptions is a sub of that, so we will make that heading 2. Lodging rates per night was already set to heading 2, so that will be fine. We also notice, as I scroll down, recreation, that's on heading 2. Park fees is already on heading 1. Okay, evidently recreation has a blank line underneath it, so evidently we're going to be adding in some stuff there. I highly encourage you, whenever you open somebody else's document, always scan it to see what's there and what's going on. What's involved in it, what have they done? For example, here's a table. Looks like they've done some merging of cells. Here's another table. And they may have some styles on it. Bulleted list, text. Okay, the heading above the bulleted list under lodging descriptions, click on that one. That's a heading 2. Your textbook tells us we need to adjust the spacing on it. It doesn't like it quite exactly how it's looking. So we will just have your cursor somewhere in it, because as again, paragraphs affect the whole paragraph. You don't have to select them. And we can go to the page layout tab, and on above paragraph we want to change that to 12 point, and then below paragraph we want to change that to 6 point. Now if you notice, that only worked on this paragraph for lodging descriptions. Lodging rates per nights is also a level 2 heading, but it did not take effect here. One of the beautiful things about using styles, I can right click. Oops, what I want isn't here. Instead, I go to my Home tab, and under Styles where it says Heading 2, I right click, update this style, Heading 2, to match what I have selected. Bam! Now when I click this, keep your eye on lodging rates per nights. Bam! Ooh, just move your mouse away if it's previewing a different style accidentally. Just move your mouse and it'll come, or press escape, either way. So easily fixing our editing. If you have your show hides turned on, even if you don't turn them on, you should be able to see this little box at the edge, left edge of each one of our headings. What do you think those mean? Why would those be there? If you said it has something to do with our paragraph, line, and page breaks, you're entirely correct. All that little box is telling you, that little bullet, square bullet, is telling you that something here in pagination is checked. It doesn't tell you which ones, but it's telling you that something is checked. And that's very appropriate for our headings. They should always be kept with the next paragraph so that they will not appear alone at the bottom of a page, because they should always have some text underneath them. Headers and footers, we want to now insert headers and footers, but we're going to have them different from the first page. So insert, add a header, and we want to simply edit the header. How else could I get into my header? Very easily. I could scroll to the top of my document, double click in the white area, and that automatically takes you in to edit your header. Notice where you are. I am on page 2, so I noticed down here my taskbar, it says my status area says I'm on page 2 of 3. Perfect. Make sure you get to there because you want to be on the header, and it says we're in section 2. That's because we are after that double dotted line. It says we're on the same as previous, which is what we do not want. So we unclick, we click to unselect, link to previous. Here our header and footer tools are available. In the design group tab we have navigation group, and we click link to previous, about near center of the ribbon. That takes it off. Same thing. Okay, so we are going to break that. Now let's go ahead and add a header on the left hand side, header and footer grouping, and we're looking for banded header. Document title, you can select it, it's a placeholder, and type in Paw Ridge State Park. I did capitalization, initial caps. Notice that it is then set to be in all caps, and that's totally fine for what it is. Down on the bottom, several ways to get to our footer. If you like here using the navigation tools on the ribbon, you would click on Go to Footer. My screen is small enough. I'm just going to click down in the footer. I see it all right there. Same thing. Notice that we have to break the link. We do not want to be what we're about to do to show up on the previous title page. So we take off that click to remove that link to previous. Now we're going to add in our header and footer groupings. We click footer in the drop down arrow, and we'll look for banded footer. And it comes in, and it's formatted to look similar even though it doesn't have a band on it. Alright, here's our problem. Why is it page number 2? Because we haven't told it to not be. We are on page 2 of our total pages in our document. Understand it. Well, here's how we're going to change it to simply not be number 2. You can scroll up and you can see there isn't a page number on the title page. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. However, we also want this page to start with page numbering 1. So this time in your header and footer grouping over here on the left hand side of your design tab, click the page number and format page numbers. You're not adding anything in because you already have a page number. So it tells you this is where you're familiar from other things that we've done in 133, 136, where if you had to change it to little Roman numerals, those kind of things. The important thing we want right now is page numbering section. It says continue from previous section. That's why previous section was 1. Now this is 2. Nope. We want to start at 1. So we want to restart the numbering. Click OK. And notice our page number changes to be page number 1. You may, on your ribbon, click Close Header and Footer. We're done with this. Or you may double-click in your document. Same thing. Brings it back. Very easy, right? Okay. I'm going to break up this video into 2 parts for those of you that have internet connections that would better use it. So that takes us through page 231.